And hello, and welcome back to the Women of Wine Country. I am your host, Terry Wells Brown. I'm the author of the series Women of Wine Country with the newest release out, Beauty and Betrayal. So if you haven't had a chance to pick that up yet, please go do so. I am so very thrilled to have another author on with me today. Her name is Dawn Nelson, and she is somebody I am actually collaborating with. And our books in our collaboration are one right after the other. So that's going to be kind of cool for us.
It certainly is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hi, everybody. Hi from Scotland.
Yeah, oh, I forgot to mention that exciting part that you're from Scotland.
Well, just in case you're wondering why I've got a weird accent, that is where I'm from Scotland. I live near Loch Lomond, actually. So it's 10 minutes drive away from here. It's beautiful here when the weather's nice. Well,
how is the weather today?
It was lovely this morning, and now it's got very overcast, and it's a bit blowy as well, but yeah.
So what's the forecast for this week?
It's supposed to be nice, so fingers crossed. You know, because Scotland is not known for its good weather.
I heard. I was actually had planned to take the family to Scotland a while back, and somebody told me that if you go in August, you'll still need to have a sweater and sweatshirts and.
Absolutely, yes. What we say is in Scotland we have four seasons in one day. So you can get up in the morning, be lovely and sunny and warm, and by nighttime it's raining and miserable and practically snowing. So always better bringing a sweater and a rain mac and an umbrella, Wellington boots.
Yeah. I can't wait. It's on my bucket list to come. That's where my family is from, Scotland. So
I can't wait for you to come. I know we talked about this before. Your family's from Ayrshire, and so are mine originally. So it'd be really nice. Yeah, I can't wait for you to come over because obviously we need to meet up.
My husband's going to want to visit all the whiskey manufacturing facilities.
Plenty here. You can do a tour actually of all the whiskey distilleries. So
I'm going to want to go see the castle so I can write books.
Oh, loads of those as well. Loads. So there's a castle.
So have you ever written a Scottish book? A book about the history of Scotland or anything?
Yes, I did actually. So about 10 years ago, I brought out a book called A Children's History of Glasgow. I was born in Glasgow, but brought up in the sort of south of it in a village. And it's all about, obviously, the history of Glasgow from its early days when it was a Roman outpost right up till nowadays. But my children's trilogy, which is novels, a set of 3 novels, Dark Isle, they were actually set in Scotland as well. I decided I wanted to write what I know, and I thought, well, there's not very many adventure books written for kids in Scotland, so I set it here, and they go all over the place in Scotland, really. So, but it's places I know as well and places I like. It features in the book. So I suppose, I have in that sense as well. I've also written about Scottish history there as well. And my current book that I've just brought out in indie publishing, it's the sequel to Dusting Down Alcudia, which is set in Mallorca. But the second one is actually set in Perthshire in a castle, talking about castles. And it's basically a hunt for Jacobite treasure. If anybody knows anything about Scottish history, they'll know that Bonnie Prince Charlie was the new pretender and wanted to get his throne back for his father, blah, blah, blah. Came down to Scotland, got some of the tribes from, the clans from the north of Scotland, from the Highlands, and they fought the English basically. So they were the Jacobites, and the English and some Lowland Scots as well fought against them. But anyway, he lost, but there's rumoured still to be treasure that was sent over by France hidden in Scotland somewhere. So I thought that would make a great premise for my book. So that's what they're looking for, is this French treasure, this Jacobite treasure. So I am what you're on here.
Wow. That's great. So let's go back a little bit. So you're a mother, and you have how many children?
2 children, one who's 12, that's my son Xander, and also my daughter who's 15, Emma. She's actually named after the Jane Austen heroine, Emma.
Oh, cool.
And also, I hate to say this, I not hate to say, I love saying this, Ross and Rachel's baby from Friends. I'm a huge Friends fan.
That's great. That's awesome. So you started your career not as an author, but as a journalist.
No, I always wanted to write. I knew from when I was about 7 or 8, I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't know how to go about it and how to get into it. So I decided then, well, the next best thing is becoming a journalist. My father worked in newspapers all his life as well. He was a compositor. And which means he was setting out all the pages, etc., and using hot print initially, and then going into the computers. And so I became a journalist at the age of 18. I joined a local newspaper, and I worked in newspapers for about 7 years. And I did what they call shifts in some national newspapers. I worked for The Sun and the Sunday Times. And it was then I decided I really didn't want to be a journalist anymore. A lot of my time working for The Sun was spent chasing like famous footballers all over Scotland. So yeah. So then I went into public relations. I became a press officer for the Scottish Labour Party, and was part of the team that helped Tony Blair win, when he first became a Prime Minister in 1997. So that was a really good fun job. And after that, I've worked in public relations for local authorities and laterally the NHS. I was with the NHS for 16 and a half years.
NHS?
The National Health Service. Sorry, okay. Forgot. Our National Health Service. So I was doing things like their website and newsletters and press releases and, anything that needed written, like leaflets, things like that, posters. Mm-hmm. Myself and my colleagues would do that kind of thing. So it was a busy job, but yeah, it was good. Good fun.
Good. And so that took you directly into your press relations, your public relations job?
Public relations job, that was the public relations job, was the NHS one, and working for a local authority or a council, so before. But I mean, during that time, I first met my husband in 1999. And before that, I wasn't really confident in my writing. I felt really scared to actually share it and show people it. But he was really, really encouraging. And made me send off things, and that's how I eventually got Dark Isle was published. I sent it off to a publisher in 2006, and it was actually launched and published in September 2007. I was very heavily pregnant at the time with my son, so technically he was there, but
and this is the kids' adventure fantasy novel, right?
The trilogy Dark Isle, Dark Isle Resurrection, and Dark Isle The Last Battle. You can actually get it in America, or you could about a decade ago. It was called, the second one was called The Witch's Revenge, I think. I can't remember what the first one was called. They're different covers. In fact, if you just hold on a second, I can show you.
Oh, sure.
You want to see them? Hold on.
Yeah.
2 seconds. Right, hold on. They're in my bookcase somewhere. Where are they?
And this is what happens when you do a live interview all the way around the globe. Sometimes you have to have an intermission. Oh, good. Here we go.
All right, I'm back. Yeah. Right, so anyway, let me show you. This is what it looks like, the Scottish version.
Okay.
And this is the American version.
Ooh. So where would somebody be able to find these? You were traditionally published.
Oh, sorry about this. I don't know if it's still available in America, but you can see it on Amazon. Right, enough. Oi, down. Right, so anyway. There's also, these are the two. Sorry about this. Never worked with
I'm a dog man too.
This is the American version. This is the British version. So
I love the American cover on that. Hold it back up again. Wow, that's gorgeous.
This is one of the baddies. Her name's Mephisto. She's a witch in it. She's really bad. So pardon me.
And this is for like a teen. This is a tween book, right?
12 years. So the first book, this one was the one that won my award. So I won the Royal Mail Award for Scottish children's books in 2008. I was dead pleased because the year before J.K. Rowling had won with one of her Harry Potter books. I was like, oh.
So you are in good company. Yeah.
I know, it's fabulous. So here's the German version.
Oh, wow.
French
version. Gorgeous.
I've got other versions as well, but I'm sure you don't want to be too.
So you're internationally selling and you're award-winning author.
Yes, I don't know how much so much now, but I was 10 years ago.
It still works.
I still work. I'm still writing books. Yeah. So as I said, Dusting Down Alcudia was I'd actually gone to Alcudia and in Mallorca, which is an old Roman outpost. It's almost as a modern part now, but the old part is really ancient. It's lovely. So that kind of it started me off writing Dusting Down Alcudia. And I've just brought out the sequel to that as well, which is available on Amazon and a lot of other like Barnes and Noble and stuff as well. I've just gone wide with it. So yeah, so busy. And I'm still, obviously with you guys, we've got our collaboration, which I don't want to say too much about because I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say at the moment, but it's so exciting. I was
We'll
working on
talk
that.
about that towards the end. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
So, but you just had another book come out. You're the second in the Jacobite Share. Is that what it's called?
Jacobite Share. This is the one to do with the Jacobite treasure. So, I'm a big fan of Outlander. I don't know if you know Outlander.
Yeah, everybody knows
I love
Outlander.
it. I mean, like, the TV program. Hello, but anyway, so Man in a Kilt. So anyway, I'd read the books years ago, and I'm a big fan of them. So it was kind of inspired by Outlander a little bit, and also, in fact, I am Scottish anyway. So I thought I'm going to write it somewhere I know, and it's a Persia castle. We've got castles everywhere in Scotland. I mean, everywhere you look is a castle. I can see a castle actually from my garden. There's one right across the river.
No kidding.
Yeah, because I live in the River Clyde, but I live in a place called Cardress, which is kind of near Helensburgh. People won't probably know it, but right across the river from us is a place called Port Glasgow, and there is Newark Castle is there, and just up the road is Dumbarton Castle. So that's great.
That's great. So you'll have to take a picture and post it sometime in their group.
I will do. You can't really see it very well. I mean, it's quite far away, but you can see it.
You can still see it. Nobody in America can see a castle from their garden.
That's
okay.
True. That's true.
So we're all jealous of that.
Yeah, so it's Newark Castle. So that's probably where your area, New York, and is it New York? It's right about that area, isn't it? New York, somewhere around there. The
Where
area.
what is?
New York. It's
New York.
Newark. Newark.
Newark.
Yeah, we would say New York. It's probably named after the castle.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm
Apparently
sure that's true.
Yeah, apparently that area, there was a village there, and it was called New York Village, and it was New York Castle. So there's a good chance that's what it's called after. I'll send you a picture. It doesn't look nice now, but.
So I see that you have several books in the queue too that you're working on right now. So we just had one that came out. So I'm going to just kind of go back and rehash this a little bit. So the Dark Isle, am I saying that right? The Dark Isle books?
Yes, Dark Isle. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's
Dark
like
Isle,
Dark Isle.
Resurrection, and then the Final Battle. You have the Children's History of Glasgow, Dusting Down.
Right. Dusting Down Cudia.
Yep, and then the Jacobite Share, right?
Yes.
And that just came out, and I did share that in the Women of Wine Country book club. But I'm also going to send it out on my newsletter, which should go out this weekend. So yeah, we've got to take care of each other. And I started reading your books. You had sent them to me in PDF, and I started reading. And nothing is keeping my interest right now because of my crazy brain. But I actually got to invest a good 45 minutes and came out going, okay, all right. So I would suggest your books to anybody because it was it just grabs you. So it was really nice. Appreciate it a lot.
It's not sweet, but it's not hot and heavy either.
I'm not into sweet. I'm not really into sweet.
No.
I'm into yeah, I like books that pull emotion and or captivate me. So
yeah.
And then the books that you have to come, you have a murder mystery set in Scotland in the 1920s. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's about 80,000 words at the moment, and I'm still editing it. So I don't know if it'll ever come out. I don't know. I'm not quite pleased with it yet. You know how you know when there's a book and it's just not right. So I'm leaving it aside just now. It's just not right. So there's that one, and then there's a sort of fantasy I've written for teenagers. Ooh. It's currently called Dark House Beach, but I don't think that's what we're called.
It says young adult fantasy set in Fife or Fife?
Yes, Fife.
Okay.
Fife.
And it's current time.
Yes.
And then you also got a children's history of Paisley book?
Yes. Now that came about because one of my friends is an illustrator. She's very good. Her name's Mandy Sinclair. And she's done lots of illustrations. She did a children's book for the Burns Cottage, Rabbie Burns Cottage down in Ayrshire. So she's done a book aimed at children, all about Robert Burns's life, or Rabbie Burns, as we call him here, who's our bard. And so it was her that came to me. She works for the libraries over in Renfrewshire, where Paisley is. And she said that they are opening a new museum and wouldn't it be a good idea to do a children's book to go along with the opening. So that's what we're doing just now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's all about the history of Paisley, but from a child's point of view, so we're keeping it quite simple. She's doing the illustrations, and it should be great. It'll be fun.
That's
So
great. I didn't know you were doing.
I know.
Yeah,
that's never came up. So
yeah, we all. I think writers usually have 4 or 5 irons in the fire. So
yeah,
that's
we do.
great. Congratulations.
Thank you. So hopefully, I mean, we're just going to do it anyway and self-publish it ourselves. If we're hoping the local council will pay for it, but if not, we're doing it anyway. You know. Or we'll apply for a grant or something. So
now, your first books that were published by a traditional publisher, when do those rights revert back to you?
Apparently, I asked my publisher not long ago, and he said they're still in print, which I don't think they can be because it's 10 years. But apparently, you can still buy some of the books on Amazon, so they must still be in print. So,
but when do you get to take control back again?
Well, when I ask him for them, when they go out of print, is what he said. So
I don't know about Scottish law, but I know in American law you have to have a definitive time. They can't just say, oh, whenever we decide to stop printing them.
Well, this is what he's saying, but I think now it's been a decade now, so I could possibly, go to a lawyer and ask them back and get them back properly.
I would go through your contract too.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm a member of Society of Authors in Scotland, so I can get them to look at the contract. They've got lawyers working for them, so it's always good to be part of an authors organization like that.
Absolutely. I would encourage you to rebrand them, bring them up current and republish.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, right. I am almost like, I would discourage people from, I mean, there's always a good side of being a traditionally published author, but I think self-publishing is really the way to go right now.
I would agree, and the reasons for that is that I know some people who have not been published yet, but they're desperate to get traditionally published because they think that's better. But having gone down both routes, I actually think self-publishing or indie publishing is much better. You've got more control. You can get things done much quicker, because if you are traditionally publishing, it can take years for your book to come out.
Yeah.
And you're still having to do all the promotional stuff around it as well. So you're actually better, I think, hiring the people to edit it and do the cover and all the rest of it, do it properly, and just indie publishing it yourself. It's so much quicker. You get far more control over your end product. And like I say, you're going to be doing all the publicity anyway, because your publisher, who's a traditional publisher, will not do your publicity for you unless you're someone really famous. So, which I'm not. So I think, this is the way I'm going as well. It's much better.
Good for you. Well, keep me posted. I'd love to help promote your book over on this side of the pond.
And likewise for yours. Well, obviously, when we're doing our series, we'll all be publicizing it.
Yeah, I know. So, hey, let's do this. We're almost towards the end of our interview, but there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. First, I'd like to mention your husband, who passed away in 2016.
Yes, Ian. Yes.
And what was his name?
His name was Ian. He was my best pal and love of my life. Unfortunately, died of cancer. He was really, really supportive of me in my writing career, which was fantastic. And we still miss him, obviously, but we just got to keep going. So my children were very young at the time, and just unfortunately it happened. But these things happen in life, unfortunately. So, but his spirit lives on in me. I'm determined I'm going to be a very successful author. So.
Good for you, and do it in his memory. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And what kind of cancer did he die from?
It was bowel cancer.
Bone?
Bowel.
Colon cancer.
Bowel. Yes.
Colon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It also has other complications as well. So, but anyway.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we, once we get our first series under us, why don't we do an anthology in his memory and make all of the proceeds go to colon cancer research?
That sounds lovely. I'm sure they would appreciate that. Because the NHS, the health staff, and were fantastic. There's also people here who kind of Marie Curie nurses who are here, which is like a charity that they come at night time. Ian was lucky enough he was able to die at home, but the Marie Curie nurses came at night to let me get a sleep, which was fantastic. So they were really good as well. So
here we call that hospice.
Well, we have hospices too, but you have an option to actually be looked. What happened was he opted to stay at home. So they gave us a hospital bed and all sorts of gadgets and things. It meant we set up in the living room here, and it meant he could die at home, which was really, really good. That's what we both wanted. He really wanted that. I wanted that as well. It just meant our last few days together were really peaceful, and there wasn't people interfering. There wasn't the noise in a hospital or a hospice, and he was in his own sort of area, I suppose.
So it's interesting that you say that, because the next book I'm writing in my Women of Wine Country series starts off with my heroine's husband is dying of cancer, and he's in hospice at home at the house. Right. And so I've been writing about that for the first 3 books. We will mention her, Francesca, and her husband is at home. And so the 4th book is her story.
Okay. Get out the window.
Hey, I'm a dog mom too. I get it. And the more you yell, the more they're gonna bark, right?
No, shh, shh, wait, shh. Sorry, they're so noisy. It's terriers.
That's okay. So what I'll do when we post the video is I'll post a link to the books on Amazon in with the video as well. And so you'll have the ability to share it. I'll send you links of where it's going to be on YouTube and on Facebook. But so let's wrap it. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I take us into the Sisters of Sin?
No, I want to say that if you need any advice or anything like that about your book, about the person who's dying at home, just give me a shout and I can answer some of your questions if that's what you want.
Absolutely. I absolutely will. Yeah, I absolutely will. Yeah.
Right, Sisters of Sin, let's talk about that because that's really exciting.
I know. So the way that Dawn and I met is because I started a group called the Romantic Suspense Writers Group with an idea, and I got it from a 20 Books to 50K group, which is a mega group for writers. And in some of the other genres, they build world building, and different authors will write in a series. I hope I'm not giving too much away, but so I thought, well, why can't we do this in romantic suspense? So, and it was kind of tricky getting the right girls together, wasn't it? So we had some,
I think the initial ones, we all were really enthusiastic and all came together really quickly, but there's a smaller people who came who maybe didn't quite fit, you know, I don't know, what's your impression of it? I think, yeah, mostly we fit very well together actually, and we've got similar sense of humour as well, which has been great.
Yeah, I want to say the original 9, which is the ones that we ended up with, we're like solid. Like we're a solid writing group. And I think that when we pull off this first series and get excited about the next and the next and the next, I like having the original 9, and our pen name that we're using is R.S. Wild. And she's going to have her own Facebook page and her own website and all of her own stuff. But each of us will be writing as, so it'll say T. Wells Brown writing as R.S. Wild, or Dawn Nelson writing as R.S. Wild. Right. And the first series we're writing about is, how many books is it? Is it 14?
14, yep.
14 books. And it's called Sisters of Sin, and it is about a group of assassins, female assassins, based on sins, the current sins, not old biblical sins, but modern day sins.
Yep.
And so I got the first book, and I think I got the 10th book. Maybe it's the 9th now. We've kind of moved things around. And then you've got the second book and
the, do you know, I can't remember.
So we each have 2 books.
We do have 2 books each, yeah. So
I have Insolence, which has been a lot of fun to write. And if I wasn't so crazy in my head, would be just so fun to write from a killer's point of view. And she's kind of got a dark sense of humor, you know. And then my second book is Sloth, which most people would think of, oh gosh, you know, that's going to be hard to write. It is not. It is going to be so easy to write, because basically she just doesn't want to put any effort out to anything. So she kills with the least amount of effort possible.
Sounds good.
Well, and so what's yours?
Mine are Greed, which I'm working on just now, and the second one is Gar, which is forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. I think that's so I'll check that, but yeah. So Greed started, and I was writing it earlier on and just loving it. It was so fun, really was. So she's just killed her first person, so
it's fun, isn't it?
Great. See if you get any sort of frustrations, you're like, I'm just going to kill someone.
Well, and here's the thing is, they're romantic suspense,
Yes.
but they're a dark romantic suspense.
Yes.
So there's a
Yes.
happily ever after at the end, if you can believe it. Through all the murder and mayhem and killings, there are happily ever afters given at the end.
Correct.
So it's going to be fun. I'm super excited to do it.
And the love interests are all very handsome, aren't they?
Of course they are.
Because we've got our
And
Pinterest page up now.
Huh?
We've got our Pinterest page up. Our Pinterest page, which where you can look at photographs of what we think are sort of handsome the love interests are.
That's right. I've got to send Lila in my Pinterest pictures. I actually have a lot of them on my phone because I use visual to trigger, writing, but I just haven't sent them to her. She's our Pinterest savant.
She's very good on the IT, isn't she? She's great, Lila. So
they're, what, everybody in our group is amazing.
And it's not just me and American authors. We've also got an Australian girl as well, haven't we? Who's taking part as well, which is fabulous.
Yeah, we've got Australia, and we've got the two of you in the UK. Yes, both of you are in Scotland, right?
Right. Yep. Yes.
And then we've got me and Michelle in California, and we have Sam in Las Vegas, and then the rest of the girls on the East Coast. I think we've got Massachusetts. Where are they at? Do you know?
I don't know. I know the East Coast somewhere, three of them. So
yeah, they're on the East Coast, and I know like Ivy is writing in Washington D.C. and Boston is one of them, and so I don't know.
So we're really good because we're not just setting it in America or Scotland or wherever. It's all over the world. These assassinations are all taking place, and the girls are all different backgrounds, different ages, and it's really good fun. And it's been brilliant.
I know, it's great.
Because we've been talking to each other on Facebook about our characters, and it's been crazy, hasn't it? It's been so funny.
It's good though. I feel like we're developing skills that are going to help us in our writing forever.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and especially with collaborating as well. And we're all very supportive of each other, and it's been great since obviously with the lockdowns going on with coronavirus. It's been great because we've been supporting each other through that as well. So it's been fab. It's been a great experience so far, and we've only really started.
Yeah, it really has. And I want to just talk a little bit about the coronavirus, because the Sisters of Sin was not our first idea. No, our first idea was baddies, Russian bad scientists were going to release a virus onto the world to control the world's population, and then the coronavirus hit.
Yeah, so we decided we were not using that.
Yeah, we had like logos, we had everything developed. We were pretty well into it.
We had a badge for our organization that was going to tackle these people, with characters, baddies written up, but hey, maybe sometime in the future.
Just table it. Doesn't mean we can't come back to it in 10 years when everybody's over this, because nobody's going to want to read about it.
No, that's the beauty of being a writer. You can table things and reuse it later on. So I've got about 2 or 3 books that I've shelved years ago that I will go back and rewrite at some point. They just weren't
that's great.
Yeah, so I have been writing for years. So
I think you might be our longest writer, the person who's been writing the longest of the original 9.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that, but I've certainly been writing since the late 90s.
Yeah.
It makes me sound so old.
It's okay. I'm the oldest in the group, so it's all right. You can say that to me.
Yes, we're both fabulous. So it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think Joe and Heather both probably have been writing, but I just think they're younger than we are. I think that they just don't have the years. So I would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, it would be actually. We should do a wee poll in the group and find out who's been writing the longest.
Yeah.
And whoever can award themselves a prize.
I know. Hey, that was a really good idea.
Just so your people who are viewing this know, one of our writers, Lila, gives herself a prize every time she hits a certain amount of it's words, isn't it? So many thousand words, she gives herself a prize. So so I've decided to do that as well. So I've got my list of when I write 5,000, 10,000 words, right up to when I finish the book. So there's some jewelry in there, there's some perfume, so I'm doing it. It's very motivational.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Giving yourself prizes as when you hit your markers, that's a great idea. I told my husband about it. He was like, just another excuse to buy yourself some stuff, which he's right. He's not wrong.
It's for motivating you for writing. It's actually good because it'll earn you more money in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, was it speculate and accumulate?
Yeah. So, so is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers before we sign off?
I can't think of any at the moment. I think we've covered all bases at the moment. So no, just say thank you for having me. It's been lovely. And hello
Yeah.
viewers. We'll be back at some point. And I hope that when our series comes out, that you will enjoy it.
I'm sure they will. I'll have you back on when the series comes out.
That'd be great.
What I'll do is, as each book releases, I'll have that author on, and
Brilliant.
we'll do a series of videos about it.
Brilliant.
So for those of you who might be interested, you can reach Dawn at is it DANELSONAUTHOR.com if you'd like to sign up for her newsletter. And she also has a Facebook.
DANELSONAuthor.com.
What's that?
DANELSONAuthor.com.
Yep, DANELSONAuthor.com.
Yeah.
If you obviously you offer some author services as well. You have NelsonAuthorServices.com as well.
Yes, I do editing, but most of it is book formatting actually. So part of my job in PR was to lay out newspapers and magazines. So it's been really good skills to learn because I lay out my own books as well. So yeah, I do book formatting. So
that's wonderful. Well, that's a great resource. So that's DANelsonAuthor.com for if you want to sign up for her newsletter, and NelsonAuthorServices.com if you have any needs to have your books formatted. You can find her on Facebook at author D.A. Nelson, Twitter, D.A. Nelson author, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Goodreads. You're there. You're everywhere.
I'm not on TikTok though. I'm too old for TikTok.
Yeah, I don't do TikTok either, although I've got people sending me videos from TikTok all the time.
Me too. It's mainly of women leaving the house, getting all done up to take their bins out because they're not allowed to go anywhere further.
I know I'm so tired of being in the house. I'm ready to get out.
Me too. Not be long. Not a couple of months, hopefully, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who might be interested, you can find all of my videos on YouTube at the Women of Wine Country, on the Facebook media and event page for Women of Wine Country. We have a Facebook group, Women of Wine Country, and you can sign up for any newsletter on www.womenofwinecountry.com. And with that, I'll say adieu. Thank you so much for joining us, Dawn, and I will leave a link for all of your books in the video.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.